Hello, friends. As promised in the Prahlad Kakar show, I would be releasing the backstage preview of the conversations I had with Prahlad. These are some of the funny moments where we were preparing to go live on recording, and some of these conversations were completely hilarious, and I wanted to share with you. When we started the podcast recording, or actually, Prahlad came online on Zoom, we started discussing about the Zoom background. And from there, the conversation moved on to a very different level. So listen in and have fun.
Just find the bloody Wadley one and use it, yeah. Or use the Gateway of India, or use use the local what do you call latrine in the Dharavi slums.
Latrine.
Good.
Yeah, this is one of my click. Actually, I was in Vegas and this was one of the click which I did, but it's not coming properly on Zoom. Anyways,
The most important thing are social meetings. In abroad in the West, you have clubs, you have taverns, you have bars where people sit and drink and talk about the day. And then here, if you go along the railway lines, you find lots of people lined up having a shit on the side. Okay, and some of them are reading a newspaper.
yeah,
And then they're reading the newspaper aloud so that the guys next to them can listen to what they're reading, because those guys can't read a newspaper because they don't have one and they can't read. Okay, so this newspaper reader is very important because it gives them the early morning khabar with the early morning turd
yeah.
while the trains are whizzing past. So it's a very important communal service. It's a communion, actually, where you read out
Yes,
the
it is.
headlines and say, "Aise hua, aise hua."
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting the way you kind of just picturized it. It sounds gross, candidly. It looks gross, but I can visualize it actually in front of my eyes right now.
Yeah, exactly. You take a train in the morning, they're about
I've done
7:30,
that. Yeah, I've
and
done
you'll
that
find
in
them all on
previous
both
days.
sides, and lots of people with newspapers.
Yes, I do. It's not just railway tracks. If you go around the beach or you go around the Bandra Valley ceiling, just on the
Ha.
observation, you would see I call them the landfill guys, right? They are ensuring that the land is always filled up and
Ha.
it gets the manure and it gets that nutrition which the soil needs for the
Correct.
for the things to grow, right? So I think it's a natural manure.
But
Again, they're
I,
doing
I
their
made
work.
a film. I made a film on the shitting in Bombay. Where you all can shit, because I took them all the way from Nariman Point
Really, you did that?
all the way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called
Okay.
Bombay. Okay.
Okay.
And I made it many years ago. And
Okay.
it was made for Midday. Midday had their first anniversary, and
Okay.
they had co-opted all of us to make a film on Bombay. A eulogy,
Mhm.
or not a eulogy, but something great. Look at the city and what it does and all that shit. So I
Yeah.
said, balls. I mean, somebody coming from outside the city, the first thing they do is smell the city, because it smells of rotten fish and of turd.
Yeah.
Okay. So the second thing they do is they know now where the smell is coming from, because everybody's shitting out in the open.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're not used to it. So there's a kind of a culture shock. Only if you've lived in Bombay for 6 months does it become invisible. Because for
Hmm.
people who've lived in Mumbai for 6 months, you don't see them. They're there, but you don't see them. I mean, it's not a big deal. But
Yeah.
if you come in from the first time from Delhi or from New York or where the hell, you fucking can't believe it. It's man, what's happened to these guys? Why are they shitting in the open? And if
Yeah.
you actually interviewed one of them and said, why don't you go to all these toilets which are provided the municipality? He says, would you go into a toilet which is used by 5 people before you? Or would you like the open air with the sea breeze and a fresh spot among the mangroves, and meditation and introspection? So could you do it in a bloody closed little cubicle inside a municipality toilet? Now, when you look at his
Definitely not.
argument, there is no argument.
Yeah. And it's a natural, in these modern worlds, we put air fresheners and we put,
Yeah,
the things would smell nice, right? Uh, because it's not a pleasant scenario to be in. And, these individuals are using the fresh air to let that,
yeah, exactly. I mean, but
unpleasant
it's
be
true.
pleasant, right?
If you go to somebody who's already used the toilet 5 times, there's going to be a malingering smell. Not lingering, but malingering. Okay?
Yes.
So now you want to have to hold your breath, you have to fan the place, you have to use the bloody freshener. Balls,
Yeah.
sit near the seaside on the beach and there's hawa. Khulan de khidki, lagan de hawa. You know?
You've still not lost your knack, and I think that's a great thing for you, right? And I have seen your ads growing up, and I think when we were young, I don't want to make you
Yeah,
sound old, but the Yehi a right choice, baby. I think those were the
yeah,
slangs and those were the language which were there, and the Britannia
correct.
ting ring ring. I still remember it. I'm sure
Yeah.
my kids do not, because they have not seen them. But no, it's thank you for doing this, by the way.
No, no,
And
not at all.
I think this is great. So, just to set this up, and by the way, if you're okay, I will use some part of this conversation also, which you
Please
just had.
do. Please
Yeah.
do. You see, the best thing about my talks are they are uncensored, untutored, and
Yeah.
straight from wherever I come from. And I have never, ever
Mhm.
been sorry for what I've said because
Okay,
whatever I've
that's
said
good.
is the truth.
Yeah. And so, is it okay if I call you Prahlad first, or should I call you
Please,
Sir?
please do that. Please do that.
Yeah.
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 Or if you want
So,
PK, that's how
okay.
everybody else calls me. Yeah.
Okay, okay, PK. So PK, the PK than the movie PK, right? That just
No, but they
did they
copied
make it
me,
on
huh,
you?
by the way.
They
They
copied you?
copied even the movie poster, copied me
Okay.
where they changed my hat. Have you seen on my
Yes.
WhatsApp? Have you seen my
Yes,
DP?
I have seen.
That
Yes.
DP was taken 18 years ago
Wow.
after my bypass. And I don't know where the hell Amir Khan got that from because he just changed my hat with the transistor. It is exactly the same DP.
Okay. Did you sue them?
No, of course not.
He's a good friend,
Cat's
I'm
trying to
sure.
sue anybody from the Hindi movie industry. They'll say,
Yes.
"Oh, there's no transistor, and that's not you. That's Amir Khan, and
Hmm.
you're hairy. He's not. All that sort of shit."
Yes. Yes, definitely. So it's good that it's going to be untutored because my podcast is also untutored
That's
because
bullshit. Because if you want to, yeah, because if you want to be tailored, and
yeah.
if you're going to get caught flat-footed and having to tell the truth sometimes which you're never used to, then
Yeah.
you'd much rather have the damn questions in advance so that you can figure out how to tailor them,
Yes.
or how to answer them politically correctly. Since I've ever always been politically incorrect, doesn't matter shit anyway.
Yep. No, so it's okay if we are completely uncensored, go all around
Complete,
and have. Is it
absolutely,
okay?
don't worry about anything. You're
Okay.
the one who's going to get into trouble, not me.
Don't worry, I will not be in trouble. And the best
I've
part of
always
podcast.
I've always had this from my journalists. No, I
Mhm.
give them much more they can handle, and then they tailor it down, and then they tell me, "Is it okay if we tailor it down?" I said, "That's your prerogative. Yeah, it's your article." He says, "No, because you talked about masturbation, you talked about this, so we can't quite carry that." You know. So,
I'm sure from the podcast you would have realized how profound Prahlad is from his perspectives. And in one of those conversations, as we were having about life and entrepreneurship, Prahlad talks about failures in a very interesting way. And not to spoil the fun, here it is.
And we all have our failures,
precisely.
by the way. We all have our failures, right? Meaning we
Yeah.
are.
No, no,
It's
of
not
course.
that
We've
we.
all got bloody feet of clay. Huh? Come on. I mean, you step in the shit all the time. You know.
Today, there are a lot of education institutions who are trying to teach the newcomers or the students on how to go ahead and focus on entrepreneurship. But during the episode, Prahlad decided to share how PKSBE or his own institution teaches students or the new aspirants about entrepreneurship, brand building, and filmmaking. Listen and be dazzled on some of the conversation about the experience they have these students go through.
So you don't know
Okay.
my curriculum in my entrepreneur school. What they
No,
learn in class is mandatory for the university to give them a certificate.
that is correct.
But if they want a certificate from me, they have to do all these other activities. They have to
Oh,
jump out of a plane. They have to scuba dive. They have to ride a horse. They have to
Are you
go,
kidding me?
no, they have to go mountaineering,
Okay.
and they have to do exercises outside of class, which is like going on a train and earning money.
Like you see people earning money on the train, like literally
Yes,
doing that.
yes. We take all the money away, we take all the jewelry away, and we take even the identity away. And they go in groups of 5, and they say, okay, now we'll meet you at Churchgate station. If you get caught by the TT, we'll have to bail you out, but try not getting caught by the TT because you're going without a ticket. And
Okay.
you are singing, laughing, cracking jokes, stand-up comedians, whatever, but you have to earn money, which means you have to create a value which is more than the journey.
Wow. Beautiful.
And then their first film lesson, the first lesson on the first day of school, before they know which end the camera or bites from or what happens to it. The first lesson is tomorrow morning, 7:30, you are going with the dabbawalas on a trip from to the place where they pick up the dabbas all the way to the office where the dabba is delivered.
Wow.
Make a film on it on your phones.
Hmm.
That's it. So they're thrown in headfirst into the deep end. There's no, by the way, ये film है, ये ऐसा करते हैं, इसको edit ऐसे करते हैं. This is the grammar of film. अच्छा, now you chaps know so much. Now you can go and make your film. Fuck off. First make your film, then we'll teach you the rest.
Wow, that's an amazing experience.
Yes.
That's really great.
And you see the film they made. Some of them are amazing.
Sure. Do they have y'all have a collection of that somewhere, or is it like on your website or on your university website?
I think it should be. It's called the PKSBE, the
Okay.
Prahlad Kakar School of Branding and Entrepreneurship. And
Okay.
and the college, the university that we are in with right now is NIMS, and
Hmm.
there it's called SOBA, School of Branding and Advertising.
To end this backstage conversation, this is the most funniest conversation which I had, where I was sharing about the ads I was watching in a spot which NTTV did many years ago about the various ads of Prahlad and some of the greatest one, and see his perspective and the funny way of taking life.
Oh yes, I've seen the ad the other. In fact, last week I was watching all their ads. In fact, there was an
Huh.
NDTV spot which was done for 20 minutes where they talk all about your ads, the good ones.
Fine.
Uh, yes, this
Why
was
on earth?
way back in
I haven't
2008.
died
No,
yet. Yeah.
yeah, 2008.
Usually,
You were there. You were
yeah,
there in that ad.
but usually that's done as an obituary. I'm still alive.
No, no, you have a great health, and don't worry. I think you have a lot to give still to all of us. I've learned a lot today, so thank you for that.
Thank you for listening in. And we close yet another episode of Masters Decoded. If you've enjoyed the episode, please, you can help us out by sharing it on social media. I would personally appreciate that. It's how we can reach more listeners, and the more listeners we have, the more awesome guests I can get in touch and convince to participate in these conversations that are a joy to have for me, and I hope they are a joy for you to listen as well. You can also help a lot leaving reviews on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. Reviews are surprisingly helpful in supporting the podcast to get to more listeners. If this episode has intrigued you, I would request you to subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date and get notified to the future episodes. With that, I bid you and see you in the next episode.